The United States Geological Survey found oil beneath Nevada. 1.4 billion barrels of it. Undiscovered, technically recoverable. Sitting beneath the desert floor of a state that most Americans associate with casinos, dust, and Area 51. That finding was published in June 2025. It was the first full federal lands assessment the USGS had released since 1998, 27 years between updates. And when the new numbers finally came in, Nevada ranked third in the entire nation for undiscovered, technically recoverable oil on federal land. Third in the nation, not Texas, not Alaska, Nevada. Nobody is talking about this. The reason nobody is talking about it is the same reason it has stayed invisible for decades. The oil is buried inside a dense government report that was never designed to make headlines. It does not have a press conference. It does not have a documentary. It has tables, technical language, and a federal website almost nobody visits. But the geology is real, and the numbers are far larger than almost anyone outside the industry currently understands. Here is what 1.4 billion barrels actually means. At current United States consumption rates, that is enough oil to fuel every car, truck, and commercial aircraft in America for more than 2 years. It is more estimated potential than the entire proven national reserves of several OPEC member countries. It represents a geological fortune sitting beneath one of the least oil-associated states in the country. The USGS assessment was not speculation. It was built on decades of geological data, seismic surveys, and documented production records from fields already operating in the region. When the agency uses the phrase technically recoverable, it means extractable with existing technology under realistic economic conditions. This is not a theory. This is what is in the ground. To understand how oil ended up beneath Nevada, you have to go back approximately 300 million years. Nevada was not always desert. Long before the casinos, the test sites, and the highway signs counting down the miles to Las Vegas, this region sat beneath a warm, shallow inland sea. Marine organisms died in enormous volumes, sank to the sea floor, and accumulated in thick layers of organic-rich sediment. Over millions of years, heat and pressure cooked those layers into hydrocarbons, the same geological process that built the oil fields of Texas, the North Sea, and the Persian Gulf. Then the continent shifted. Between 17 and 5 million years ago, a geological process called basin and range extension began pulling the crust apart across the American West. The land stretched and fractured, creating the alternating mountain ridges and flat valley floors that define Nevada's landscape today. That same stretching created something invisible from the surface: deep sedimentary basins. And deep sedimentary basins trap oil. The Diablo Platform, the Railroad Valley Basin. Multiple structural formations running across the state, each one a geological container holding hydrocarbons that formed over hundreds of millions of years beneath terrain that now looks like nothing but rock and sand. The desert above tells you nothing. The rock beneath tells a completely different story. Here is the part almost nobody knows. Nevada already produces oil. Railroad Valley, located in Nye County in the central part of the state, has been pumping conventional crude since the 1980s. Not experimentally, not as a short-term pilot program, commercially, continuously, for over 4 decades. It is not a large field. It has never attracted serious national attention, but it proved something that the rest of the state's undiscovered potential depends on entirely. Nevada's petroleum system works. The geology generates oil. The structural traps hold it in place. Wells drilled into the right formation produce commercial quantities of crude. Railroad Valley is not a curiosity. It is proof of concept at scale, and yet it has spent 40 years almost completely invisible. A quiet oil field trucking crude down empty highways while Las Vegas, 200 miles to the south, built a new casino resort nearly every 2 years. The oil was always there. Nobody was looking at it. This is where the geography becomes genuinely difficult to ignore. The Las Vegas Strip does not sit directly above a proven oil reservoir, but it sits within the same basin and range sedimentary country. The same tectonic framework that creates the structural traps holding undiscovered oil in central Nevada extends through the south as well. The same deep basin architecture. The same geological fingerprint running beneath a city that generates 40 million visitors a year. The most photographed skyline in America, a city built entirely on spectacle and controlled illusion, sits above terrain that has barely been explored for one of the planet's most valuable commodities. California did exactly this. Los Angeles built itself into one of the world's great cities before most people understood it was sitting on 9 billion barrels of oil. Once the drilling started, it generated enough wealth to construct the state's early economy. J. Paul Getty made his first fortune in Los Angeles oil fields before the movie industry existed. Edward Doheny struck oil in downtown Los Angeles with a sharpened telephone pole and became one of the richest men in American history. Nevada has not had its Doheny moment yet. That moment may still be coming. So what actually changes? Start with Nevada's economy. The state runs on two things: gaming revenue and tourism tax. No state income tax, no corporate tax, no industrial base of any meaningful scale. That means when a pandemic closes the Strip for 3 months, the state budget collapses with it. A producing oil field on federal lands introduces a revenue category Nevada has never had in its modern history. Royalties, jobs, infrastructure spending that doesn't depend on how many people flew into McCarran that week. Then the national energy calculation changes. Every argument about American domestic oil supply, every map, every projection, every energy independence briefing in Washington is currently built without Nevada in the equation. The USGS just changed that. Whether any administration chooses to act on it is a political question. But the geological variable is now different, and different geological variables eventually produce different political outcomes. And then there is the problem nobody in the industry is advertising. Water. Drilling at industrial scale in the driest state in America creates a conflict that has no direct precedent in United States oil history. Nevada already fights its neighbors over the Colorado River. It already manages water rights with a precision that most states reserve for property law. Introducing large-scale extraction, a process that requires water for drilling, for processing, for site management, into that equation does not have an obvious resolution. The same desert that hid the oil for 300 million years may be the thing that keeps it there. And here is the contradiction nobody in Nevada is currently discussing. Nevada imports virtually all of the fuel that powers it. The Strip, the highways, the airport, the 40 million annual visitors arriving from across the world, all of it runs on oil refined and shipped in from somewhere else entirely. Meanwhile, according to the most authoritative assessment the federal government has produced in nearly 3 decades, 1.4 billion barrels of undiscovered recoverable oil sits beneath its federal lands. California built its early economy on the oil beneath its own cities. Then it spent decades hiding the wells behind fake buildings and artificial islands. Now it phases out fossil fuel vehicles while importing crude from across the Pacific Ocean. The contradiction took a century to fully develop. Nevada is still near the beginning of that timeline. The 2025 USGS assessment is not a drilling permit. It is not a policy decision. What happens next depends on federal land regulations, water rights in one of the driest states in the country, energy economics, and political will in a capital city built on risk calculations. None of those questions have simple answers. But the geological question has already been answered. The oil is there. It has been there for 300 million years, sitting quietly beneath the desert while the neon signs ran and the slot machines paid out and the highway traffic rolled across rock, holding a fortune no one has claimed yet. Nevada was never just desert. The question is, what happens when America finally looks down?